All the 12 games of the World Chess Championship were drawn. Each contender has his chance, but didn't use it. Before the match, Magnus Carlsen was considered a clear favorite on tie-break, as he is much stronger in rapid. I had an impression that the rivals were content with that consideration. Magnus Carlsen has even refused to continue the fight in the last 12th game, where he had big advantage. He craved this tie-break. Let's see what has happened. In the first game, Magnus was white. He played c4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, g3, the English opening, bishop b4. Earlier Fabiana has tried d5 here, but bishop d4 is also a very decent move. e4, castles. e4 is a rare move, and it shows that Magnus Carlsen is going to move this game out of the main theoretical lines. Bishop g2 is the main continuation. Castles, knight e2, c6. Usually in this position black plays d6, bishop g2, knight c6, developing the knight and getting control over the d4 square. a6. This idea is to save the bishop after a3, and before the bishop is safe on a7 and black controls the d4 square. The position is about equality. c6, bishop g2, a6. a6 is a dubious move. I think that d6 would be better. a5 with the same idea to save the bishop. And after knight d4, bishop g4 is a little bit annoying move for white, because the white queen has no good square, and it gives black equality again. a6 is too slow. Black prepares b5, but the black pieces are undeveloped. That's why I think that it's not the right choice. Castles b5, d4. After d4, white is better, and d4 is the best move. If black takes the pawn, knight takes. It's also possible to play a3, attacking the bishop, b4, and take the pawn here. Takes, bishop b4. White attacks the weakness on d6, and white is better. After knight d4, white is also better. If black takes the pawn on c4, white plays e5, attacking the knight, a3, and in this position white has sufficient advantage, because white has two bishops. White's pieces are much more active than black's. All the black pieces are on the 8th rank, and these black squares are weak. Also the c4 pawn is weak. That's why white is much better. In the game it was d6, and d6 is necessary. a3 takes, b takes c4, d takes c5, d takes c5. Well, after the opening, white has a very pleasant position, because white has two bishops and white has better pawn structure. All these pawns on the queen side are vulnerable, and black has to find a way to defend the c4 pawn all the time. Knight a4 is a possible move. Bishop e3 is more developing. Queen e7, h3, taking the g4 square under control and preventing knight g4. and white is better, but the position is not winning for white, of course, and black can hold. Knight a4, bishop e6, takes, bishop e3. f4 could be even stronger here, attacking the central pawn, and after e takes, g takes, white gets more space in the center and options for attack. b7, f3, rook b8. Here black has counterplay on the b file. Knight e8, knight d6 is a good maneuver defending the c4 pawn. But knight b5, played by Fabiana, was a serious mistake. Knight b7 is necessary, defending the rook on d8. King f8. The king goes to the center and defends the black pieces. In this position white is only slightly better, but after knight b5 white's advantage dramatically grows. Knight c5 was in the game. f4 again could be even stronger, because f6 loses immediately after knight c5 because of the pin on the d file. King f7 doesn't work, white takes the bishop and then bishop c4 with double attack. After f takes, g takes, bishop g4, rook d2, and white is not winning now, but it's only just because the engine shows an extremely tricky way to hold the position, not to lose it immediately. c3, rook b8, and after h3 and f5, black has knight e5, and knight e3 is threatening. So white has to lose time on bishop e2, but even after bishop e2, white is much better, and looks like maybe in 15 moves white would be winning here, because white has two bishops and white controls the center. Black's pieces are awkward. In the game it was knight c5, and it looks extremely tempting, because after knight e6, bishop c4, white attacks the e6 pawn, and knight d4 is the only defense. But after roll the forced moves, white wins the pawn, and white has winning chances in this rook endgame. White is a pawn up, the e and the f pawn are connected, and black has only one pawn, only one passed pawn compared to the whites, two connected passed pawns. But the problem for white is the cut king. The black rook is active and cuts the white king. That's why black has good drawish chances in this endgame. Rook d5, rook c2. These moves are logical. And after h5, the position is drawish, because there is no way for white to improve the position. The h pawn holds the g pawn, and the black king holds the two whites passed pawns. The king is still cut, so black has to hold. Magnus played king f1 after a4. Black has c3, and in this line the position is drawish. After king f1, Fabiana played rook c3. c3 could be more precise. Black takes the g3 and the h4 pawns, And now black is pushing the h4 pawn. And the h4 pawn gives black draw. The position is drawish. After rook c3, black still has to hold the position, but it's not so easy. Rook a3, rook c4, king a5, rook c7. Fabiano had only 1 minute for the move, and he didn't find the right answer in this position. He played king e4, which was a serious mistake. The only move here to draw is rook a2 check, because after king h3, black takes the e4 pawn, rook a1, with the idea to continue king f3 after rook g5, and checkmate is threatening. And it's either perpetual for white or checkmate. So black has enough counterplay to draw. If white plays rook c7 instead of rook g5, it's rook f1 and rook f5, and this position is a well-known draw. After king e4, which was played by Fabiano, rook e7 check, king f5, and rook g7. The rook goes to g5. Takes. And the endgame is winning for white. White pushes the pawns. The king is on time to get to the g5 square. Black loses. So Magnus Carlsen has won the first game. Let's go to the second. Fabiano was white, and of course he knew that he has to win this game to get a real chance for fighting on tie break. It was played the Sveshnikov variation again, and Magnus decided to repeat the variation from the last game, from the 12th game of the match. Queen b8 is a novelty in the match. In the 12th game it was bishop f5 with a slightly better position for white. Queen b8, h4, h5. Instead of h5, a6 looks better, knight c3 and knight e7. This is my engine's offer. The knight goes to f5 and then to d4, producing fine counterplay for black. Black is notorious here. After h5, white is still slightly better. And all these moves, a5, a4, are not the best. Black's position is solid even here, but white has advantage. Queen f5. Black has to defend the h5 pawn before castle. And in case of white's castle, black castles, white should play bishop d2, planning knight e4. The knight on e4 is extremely strong, and the black queen is pinned to defend the pawn on h5. White is better, but in the game Fabiano decided to break through and played c5. c5 gives white nothing. Magnus Carlsen, c6. After c takes d6, bishop takes. Black gets fine counterplay, activating the knight through the e5 square. c6 takes rook c8, attacking the pawn. Knight d5. It seems that white has advantage. White has a strong pawn on c6 and a perfect knight on d5. But suddenly, after e4, black gets extremely strong counterplay. Knight e5 is threatening, and the only move for white here is bishop d4 to prevent knight e5. After bishop a5 check, rook bishop c3, rook a5, queen e5, the position is equal. But Fabiano failed to find the right move, and he played c7. After c7, the bishop sacrifice is working, takes on knight e5, and black is almost winning right now. The best move here is queen d5. Rook c7 is not working because of queen a8, so black plays rook b8, castles rook c7. Rook c7 loses after knight f3, so white has to take the d6 pawn, takes, and in this position with equal material, black is much better because the knight on a5 is stronger and the white's king is vulnerable. The king is weak and white has to be careful, has to defend the king all the time. Black's pieces are more active, and the engine evaluates this position like even winning for black. But it would be stronger than knight d5, which was played in the game. I think that Caruana was hoping for rook c4, knight e7, with better endgame. So white is better here because white has two pieces for the rook and the pawn, but the black pawns are blocked and the black pawns are weak here. Suddenly, after king h7, white loses, and Fabiano resigned immediately, because if he plays queen e2, then knight d3 check, knight c1, queen d5, and white loses everything. So there is no defense. White has to defend the queen and also to defend from knight d3 check. It's impossible, black wins. Fabiano's task in the last game was extremely hard. It was even unreal or impossible. He had to beat Magnus with black in rapid. e4 c5, knight e3 e6. Magnus chooses a rather solid setup. Usually we call it hedgehog. Bishop takes, b takes. In case of queen c5, Fabiano disliked queen d4, getting a rather safe endgame for white. So b takes c5, f4. The position is about equality, and both sides improve their pieces. e5 is a good move concerning the match situation, because white exchanges a lot of pieces and gets equal position. Takes. Bishop a8. E takes f4 is also possible. After knight b7, queen b7, white takes the pawn on f4, queen d7. And knight e7 is a precise move. After c5, black plays queen b5, and moves the knight to d5. The position is equal. In the endgame, the c5 and b3 pawns are usually stronger than the e6 and f7 because it's easier for white to push the pawns, but the white's king is exposed in this position, and with queens the endgame is better. The endgame is equal. Without queens it would be better for white. Bishop a8, f takes c5, g5 could be slightly better, but f takes c5 is a simple move, leading to the equal position. That's why it was good for Magnus. Queen e5, knight d7. Again, if white would like to fight for a win, then knight d3 could be the best choice, but Magnus wanted to draw this game. That's why he decided to exchange the knights, and after queen c2 he takes the bishop. Again, this position is drawish. Fabiana had perpetual. After queen d6 he could have played queen d1, but he had to try and to play for a win. Nevertheless, there are no winning chances here for black. The position is equal, but if black doesn't want to equalize, then black loses. Here was the last moment to force draw. After knight f4, c5, queen d1. Black wins a pawn, but the c5 pawn is strong and it ensures white draw, because black has to check the white's king after queen b1 with perpetual again. After knight g5, c5, white's plan is simple: to push the pawns on the queen side. Knight e6 loses. After queen d6, white is much better, but not winning. Black holds the pawn with the knight on c7. But of course, after a4, white has winning chances. After knight e6, white wins immediately. Now the knight is pinned, and c7 is inevitable. Queen g4, and Magnus Carlsen has won the World Chess Championship and defended his title. Thank you, bye.